Good morning, Berlin. Good afternoon to our viewers in Asia. Welcome to our Asia Berlin community event. My name is Elena Volkova, and I'm a program manager at enpact. Enpact is a nonprofit based in Berlin, and we build programs to support entrepreneurs all over the world, specifically in Asia, Africa, Middle East, and Latin America. And together with Berlin Senate, we're excited to continue our Asia Berlin event series, focusing on the ecosystems both in Asia and Berlin. And we bring insights by industry experts and investors and entrepreneurs. And today is a special event because we focus on investors specifically, and we have a guest, Naoyoshi Yoneyama, Managing Director of SBI Group, and he will share more about the Future Industry Ventures Fund, along with our Asia Berlin Ambassador, Chika Yamamoto. She's a founder and managing director of Crossbie, and she promotes cross-border innovation between Japan and Berlin. And I would like to welcome Dr. Rainer Seider, our partner from Berlin Senate, the head of Unit for International Cooperation, and he will share more about Asia Berlin activities and what's to come. Welcome, Rainer.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you very much, enpact, for inviting me for this event, which is the new series on investors who are active between Asia and Berlin. And I'm very happy to be here also to communicate the great news about the Asia Berlin activities, because as you know, it's the Asia Berlin events is just one point in the overall communication or connection between Asia and Asian startup ecosystems with Berlin. And I would like to promote a bit today the Asia Berlin Summit, which will take place from 21 to 27 September as a hybrid online-offline event. And we have, since this week, we have the final go to have this event in September here in Berlin. So it will be a physical and an online event. People will meeting and connecting here in Berlin, and at the same time we'll have a strong reach in Asia, because of course not many Asians will have the opportunity to travel to Berlin. We still face, of course, some challenges due to Corona. We have contract restrictions, travel restrictions, and we will nevertheless have a physical event here in Berlin. I'm very positive and hopeful that that will be a great chance, not only for this year but also for the future, because with the online elements we reach far more people all over the world, especially in Asia, to know what we can do together in building bridges between Asia and Berlin. And I think it is a very good sign that we have today an investor from Japan here in the event, because of course the idea of Asia Berlin is also to connecting investors from Asia to Berlin and from Berlin also to Asia, and to give startups from both sides opportunities to get money from the other side, especially if there is a chance also not get just money but also scaling into the market of the investor. So it's a very interesting story, and so that's the reason we will have a investors program within Asia Berlin Summit in September as well. So many people don't know exactly now how many investments already are in Berlin, especially from Asia. So we have Horizon Ventures from Hong Kong for a very long time in the city, but we also have Tencent or Penang from Shenzhen, we have Temasek from Singapore, and we have already for a long time SBI and SoftBank Vision Fund in Berlin. And that's the reason I'm very happy that SBI has decided to have an own venture fund for European startups with a headquarter in Berlin. And that's a deliberate decision not to go to London or Paris, but to go to Berlin, because Berlin is the place to be for an Asian investor in Europe. So I think that's the story, but we will know much more about that later in the interview with the managing director in Berlin of SBI, Naoyoshi, and together with Chika, who is a very long-term fellow of the Asia Berlin activities and as an ambassador of Asia Berlin. So I'm very looking forward to this opportunity, to this talk and inviting you again for the new AsiaBerlin Summit, which will take place in September. So thank you very much again for enpact on hosting this event, and wishing good luck for the interview now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much for having me here, and thank you especially for Berlin Senate, Dr. Zeider Rainer, and enpact for making this really possible. And it's really amazing studio here that I'm now together with Managing Director Naoyoshi Yoneyama. So this is AsiaBerlin Summit Fireside Chat Investor Series. And I'm really looking forward. I've been looking forward to talking with you here today. And Naoyoshi is the managing director of SBI, and SBI Holding is a #1 financial service conglomerate in Japan. So Naoyoshi, thank you for coming here today. We are really excited to have you. And currently, you're an economist, you're a company builder, and you're also sitting as external board member at the Solaris Bank, for example. And you had an interesting career path, being a diplomat of Japanese Foreign Ministry, and became an investor. And you stationed in Vienna as well as Düsseldorf. So could you tell us a little bit about your career path? How did move happen from diplomat to investor? And also, when did you come to Berlin?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for inviting this very nice event. I'm happy to talk about, first of all, my career. I entered, after the graduation of my university, I entered the first of the diplomatic service. And in the last one decade, I engaged a couple of the interesting activities as a diplomat. For instance, I was engaged in the governmental official aid to the developing countries. For instance, in terms of the in the European context, I managed to the couple of the non-refundable financial aid to the Balkan countries, such as Kosovo or North Macedonia, which devastated by the Kosovo war. For instance, refurbishing the educational institution, or providing with medical equipment to the local hospitals. So as well as not only this kind of the activity, but also I personally engaged in the bilateral relationship between Germany and Japan in economic tie, to foster the economic tie. Through this kind of interesting activity in the public sectors, I realized that there is a couple of the lacking points, which I, at the time as a policy maker, one of the policy makers, to have a sense of the business policy, business strategy. So to combine with this kind of a sense with the building up a country is quite significant, and maybe to put the added value to the building a country. So I left once the public sector and entered into the private sector. Private sector, and in order to see what's happening in terms of the how is the entrepreneur looks like, and how the company itself is setting up. So
Okay, thank you. So you arrived in Berlin in last year?
Yes. So I joined 3 years ago to SBI Group, and I So SBI is the Japanese financial purely online based financial conglomerate, and so basically we were the part of a SoftBank subsidiary of SoftBank 20 years ago, and we spun off SoftBank 2005, and we went to we have been the successful business in Asia, and last year we expanded into the European economy, European market, simply because we had a couple of the direct investment to the Berliner startups, such as Solaris Bank or Element, and in order to support these companies, as well as to make a footprint as a SBI Group in Europe. I was, so to say, sent to the Berlin, the capital city of the new startup hub in Europe.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And so SBI recently released that you will be joining venture together with a Berlin-based financial firm, Redstone Digital GmbH. So to establish 200 million total, like in funds, to invest in this fund called Future Industry Investment Fund. So how did you come to work with Redstone Ventures?
Yes, first of all, the topic of the Industry 4.0. So basically, we are in the financial industry, so which has nothing to do with the Industry 4.0. But in terms of the investment, we have invested so far the wide range of the segments, including the manufacturer industry or automobile industries. So we are very always keen on the investing a very variety of the segment. So that if we expand to the Europe, or especially the Germany, we have considered what kind of the mutual or similarity between Japan and Germany. And as a result, we explored, we figured out that Japan and Germany had a similar industry structure, especially as I told you, as I said, to manufacturer and automobile industry. So through this our considerations, we have reached to the this idea that to create our fund in Europe with a topic of the Industry 4.0. So German specific characteristic theme.
That's really interesting because SBI is such a finance focused company. And was it a new thing, and did it make a longer time to make a decision to create Industry 4.0 forecast funds? Or was it rather like a quick decision from top down? Do you know how this strategy kind of happened?
It's a very good question and interesting question. So SBI is I would say, quite unique company, quite unique Japanese company, which put a great value on the entrepreneurship in each employee. So it means that we have at the moment more than roughly 8,000 employees as a group. But interestingly that each employee has own individual entrepreneurship. So that's why we are called as a company builder in the financial conglomerate, financial industry. So in this sense, I'm one of the entrepreneur in this group. So that's why I proposed this idea and to create our fund, specifically focus on this Industry 4.0. So this is not only the top-down approach to this project, but also the bottom-up approach. This is our so to say unique and very strong company corporate culture.
That's really great to hear, especially like Japanese some of the Japanese traditional companies who has old-fashioned kind of business cultures, it's probably very difficult to make such a decision, and that's actually tied to resilience. And in this COVID time, since the beginning of this year, it hit world economy so hard, and borders got closed in between the countries, and startups needed to come up with really like a new way to start making money, to make cash flow going. And some of the investors needed to work on more kind of a survival of their own portfolio companies rather than investing as it planned. Is in your like SBI, in our previous conversation, you also mentioned like the president and CEO of your company is quite a strong character and a great leader. And I'm kind of curious how this company culture or the message from the CEO Kitao-san could maybe help SBI to become more resilient in this time. As SBI sort of like hit also by COVID, was there like message from the top, like how you can react in this, uncertain times?
Yes. I think the first of the COVID-19 affected to the all industries, all the companies, without exception. So we are also in this difficult situation. But I would say two things. One thing is that so after the expanding of this disease, infection diseases, I memorized that this was the end of the January this year. So our CEO has told the all employees that we should set up company rule regarding on the restriction, so the travel restriction or meeting restriction with other people's or this something like internal rules. So I would say that this is very, very quick. It was a quick decision to protect the employees. Of course, if you don't, we cannot go outside to meet the people. It affected the existing customers, to taking care of the existing customers. So it is never good procedures as a business person. But first of all, to protect ourselves, so that our business infrastructure keep stable and well. This is the first things I would like. I would especially mention against this kind of the pandemic or but serious happenings. And the second thing is that I think this is quite a significant or crucial element during this difficult time, that we see the future during the very bad period. I don't know how many months, how many years still remaining this difficult situation, but so post-corona, so after this pandemic disappeared totally, we could partly reshape our company business. Maybe we are in the financial industries most of the time, but maybe we could restructure our whole business into the other business area. So, for instance, last month we announced that we expand to the new business field, e-game business. So, which has nothing to do with financial industries. So, this kind of to possess the eyes look over the future. I think this is a quite peculiar tendency, peculiar perspective which we have. So, for instance, so concretely saying that, for instance, external medical facilitation or virtual or medical care or virtual educational system, to this kind of the new kind of the structure, infrastructure would be the one of our core business in the future. So this kind of new type of the to find a promising the area to fit to the next generation, next era would be the good sign for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really amazing to hear such a big corporation can be so agile and resilient in this time, and that's probably going to have an impact on how you select startups for your own funds. So is there any specific sectors within Industry 4.0 you are looking for, and also how did you decide what kind of startups, for example, stages maybe, to invest in?
So we will invest in the sectors expected to reshape the companies into the new type of the industries. So, for instance, to adjust the sustainable and secure and more decentralized type of the business. So if you say the Industry 4.0, it's quite a wide range of the segment. For instance, Industry IoT or AI or blockchain technology or circular economy. So we don't focus on the only one, let's say one segment, but we are always keen on interested to the company which contribute to the change the existing classical way of the manufacturing or producing the goods and sales. So yeah, and we are the early stage investors. So mainly we invest in the quite early stage companies. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So in Berlin, Japanese, for example, investor has been quite actively investing in Berlin-based startups. And one of the top deals happened in the last couple of years. Always we saw Japanese investors. And also SBI has been quite strong in investing in fintech sectors. Now you are establishing even the funds in here. And what do you think is the implication of Japanese investor creating the fund to invest in Europe and especially establishing it in Berlin?
Yes, it's an interesting question. I think I cannot compare with other Japanese investors, but from the SBI perspective, or my own perspective, is that so I served to Germany for 4 years, roughly 4 years as a diplomat, and I see Germany is a very so characteristic country in terms of the decentralized policy. I mean, why we choose the Berlin as our headquarters in Europe is the so as a financial industries, probably all people say that why did you choose to go to the Frankfurt am Main? But I I would say that it's not the right decision for us because the two reasons why we expand to the Berlin is one is the innovation is happening here. The second thing is the policy framework is built in here in Berlin. So for us, it doesn't make sense anymore to settle down in Frankfurt am Main or the other cities in Germany because we diversify our business field, not only the financial industries, maybe the other new areas which we near future is going on. So I personally am very happy to see the the development of this city itself as a new hub of the startup in Europe, as well as I'm happy to see or meet the very interesting entrepreneur in Berlin. Yeah.
Okay, so do you personally find Berlin interesting too?
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So maybe like a final question before we move to the questions from audiences. And if you have a wish for Berlin, for example, how Berlin could help your startup and investment environment more kind of suitable and lucrative for SBI. Do you have any wish for Berlin?
To be honest, we don't have any wish because I don't think that how much we make money. So we never consider this kind of the thing. Maybe I'm quite a strange person as a business person, but we think that public interest leads to the private interest. It means that, let's say, if we started a new kind of business, we think about what is challenging in the society, what is the challenging, or what kind of the problem we are confronting with. So without this problems without this problem or serious challenging things, we don't start to do the business. So in this sense, I don't have any specific wish to the city of Berlin or Berlin itself or startup ecosystem Berlin. Yeah.
Thank you. I guess there are lots of interesting people in Berlin and lots of tribes, so it sounds like Berlin is going to be a really a right city to create this global movement. Thank you very much. So we will move to some questions from audience, which is coming to here. All right, so questions from our communities. Okay, so one question related to what you mentioned about circular economy. And can you speak to one example of circular economy? We are interested in learning from Japanese examples.
Yes. So circular economy that, as long as I understood correctly, so if you, for instance, produce the product, so they don't generate any waste. So the zero waste policy. So let's say there is a Japanese in Japan is an interesting company which producing the business card with very new materials which generates no waste. So the zero waste. So this type of the business, we hope that so dominate in the near future around the world, and maybe we can SBI can help to support this startup which doing this kind of business.
Right, impact for the future of the Earth. Yes. Okay, so question number 2, does SBI invest in Cleantech sector too?
So how to define the clean tech? It's different from maybe the country and countries. So energy sector. If you define the clean tech energy, so renewable energy, we are very much keen on the investing in this field. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. More question coming. So next question is do you have any plan to invest in the digital platform focusing on TIC sector, which is testing, inspection, and certification of smart cities in Germany?
Yes. So we are, of course, interested in investing in a smart city itself. And nowadays, because of the pandemic situation, so we or maybe the older people put a great value on how to secure the quality of the product or sales services. So in this sense, I think if you look at the future, I think this kind of security control of the product in proper way, I think this is a great discussion. It's gonna be a great discussion in the future. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And another question. This is related to more kind of a corporate culture as well, especially in the investment field. So the question is, how can So I'm not sure SBI is the case too, but when Japanese investors invest in European environment, there are different way of investing, or it takes time to make decisions. For example, like the person coming here to make a negotiation on the legal term may not need to have the right authority to finalize the deal. What I hear, for example, often is like when you have a Japanese business person at the other side of the table, they said, okay for these terms, but then when you ask to sign, they always need to say, I have to go back to call my boss, for example. So what is your kind of suggestion to kind of manage these cultural change and corporate decision-making kind of system differences between Japanese corporate and European or foreign investment environment? Is there any way to close the gap, or do we just need to learn how to do it, or is SBI totally different and very agile in terms of making investment decisions?
Yeah, it's an interesting and very tough question, but I think I told you that at the first that we are quite a unique company as one of the Japanese company. But for instance, if I make a very serious and very important decision, of course I should ask my boss in Tokyo. Of course, this is I think it's everywhere the same corporate culture. But I think the reporting line in Japan is quite long. So long and let's say more than 3 or 4 years to be approved by them. So maybe to save this kind of time lag, or the effort to convince the bosses, we could reduce the time and the cost to be devoted. So, but again, our company is we cherish our individual will and motivation and decision. So almost all the decision making will be done by each employee. Of course, people have also, of course, each boss, and but what I wanted to say is how to allocate the decision making process. How many percentage if you make a decision to the authority, to the each employees or subordinates. So I think this allocation percentage is quite higher than the average Japanese company so in SBI cases. Yeah.
Wow, that's really great to know. So there are some other questions that if you are familiar with, probably this is not specifically the SBI questions, but is there any recommendation in terms of approaching more angel investors in Japan?
So actually I'm not familiar with Japanese angel investor, honestly speaking. But I think I would say that to take part in the as many as conference, pitch conference possible. I think that to try to raise awareness towards the investors, including angel. I think this kind of the effort is needed.
Yeah, I think it's probably becoming easier now because we can participate in online those pitch sessions even in Japan, as well as the cabinet is putting lots of forecasts to create startup cities which becomes more global in Japan. Do you also participate in those pitch sessions too sometimes?
Yes, I love to participate in this kind of pitch session in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So the last question, coming from a university student, and is SBI also like interested in the idea of social entrepreneurship or science or tech and art startups in Berlin or in Europe in general?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are interested in all the sectors, as I mentioned. So I think it's a quite interesting development if we Berliner startups create kind of the art tech or so combined with the technology. So with the the art or sense of beauty or. So I would say that this is going to be the next investment target for SBI Group because this is a quite groundbreaking product and services which doesn't exist so far. So this kind of the new type of business, new type of the technology, we are always keen on to see.
That's amazing to hear, and so great to have SBI in Berlin. Thank you very much for joining us today, Naoyoshi-san, and it's really like our pleasure to have you.
Yeah, pleasure.
Yeah, and there are, I think, lots of entrepreneurs probably who'd like to connect with you, and for those people in the audience, you said you can stay a little bit longer in the breakout sessions,
Sure.
So please go there and get connected with you. Yes, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. So we have around 50 attendees, and we're opening up breakout rooms. The link is shared with you in the Q&A chat section of Zoom. So it's enpact.online-AB networking. And we're very excited to see you in 2 weeks for another Fireside Chat. And we're very thankful to Naoyoshi and Chika and Rainer, and we hope to continue conversation using the link. And thank you so much, everyone.